starting with the discovery of a potentially enormous gold vein and continuing with the difficulties of making their way down to it. Here is how Parker finds the gold. Despite the fact that the search for gold continues in the Yukon and pretty much everywhere else on the Earth, Schnabel and his crew were able to find a gold vein worth $75 million in a collapsed shaft in the Northern Territory. Exactly where there is gold, the likes of Parker, Schnabel, and Tony Beets, who are always looking for gold, lead their mining crew out to some of these gold-rich places in the hope of extracting all of the valuable gold from the Earth. This would allow them to justify the costs of coming out to the regions. Apparently, the Widow's Cut was a shaft before they were able to enrich themselves and their families. It was considered that that was too deep to dive into, and to tell you the truth, it was too dangerous to plunge into what was being discussed. First of all, it is believed that the cut was covered with permafrost, which indicates that the ground could have been covered in permafrost. This belief did not appear to be completely unjustified. The way down was frozen solid, which made any attempts to excavate it too risky because it could cause massive chunks of ice and rocks to collapse into any excavation site that might be built in an attempt to get to the rich gold vein that was located in the shaft. In addition, there was the fact that there was a huge potential for flooding, and any kind of flooding had the potential to occur. With all of these things coming into play, there is the possibility that the stability of the pipes might be compromised, and to make matters even more difficult, it could put their mining equipment at risk of being damaged. Parker, in order for his entire team to be able to get their hands on the gold that was hidden in this mine, they were compelled to come to the realization that they would have to descend what was practically a death trap. Given the scale of this difficulty, it would not have come as a surprise to many viewers if Parker and his crew finally came to the conclusion that this mine was not suitable for them. There was certainly a significant amount of gold for them to remove downward. But without a doubt, the danger was not worth taking. The problem with this line of reasoning is that Parker did not think in that manner. In fact, rather than seeing the risk, it is almost as if Parker just saw another challenge. Perhaps even more importantly, Parker saw this as a challenge that he was not going to run away from. He knew that they were going to make their way down the shaft that said the acceptance of the challenge. That challenge is not made any easier by the presence of a difficulty. It is possible that the modern technology that Parker and his crew had available to them could have made the situation simpler. In addition to their tractors and their slurs, they had the instruments necessary to scan the region, and that is exactly what they did. What they did in the course of coming to talk to you about this particular issue specifically, it would be a lot of help to us if it was more than like 35 degrees for at least like 4 hours. We need some warm weather after all, and if they knew the best way to make their way down the mine, then they could very well achieve success when it comes to excavating this mine for all. It is called permafrost for a reason, for the simple reason that it is permanently frozen. The boys got their state-of-the-art lure out with this and some drone mapping techniques, and they surveyed the entire area to see if they could find any safe way down there. Indeed, this may be the best option for them because the next thing that was on their minds was to dig a new way down. The gold that it is worth. With this in mind, the boys got their lure out. There, and with all of the difficulties that we described before that could prove to be too risky for them to embark on, it is certain that they want to obtain all of the gold that is down there. Furthermore, the crew needed to work swiftly because the more time they spent seeking for a way to get down there, the more of their resources were being used up for other purposes. But at what cost? These undertakings that did not actually entail the extraction of gold from this mine were the ones that they needed to make sure they were successful with if they did not want to complete this season with a loss. This gold mining project at the Widow's Cup was fortunate in that they were able to combine their lure with drone mapping. The person who came up with the idea of combining these tools must have been a genius, since it resulted in a breakthrough that many miners were able to take advantage of. Had been working towards since the 1980s, and thanks to the L and the drones, the team was able to find a way down that shaft of this collapsed vertical shaft that could assist them in getting down there. Their measurements revealed that the collapsed shaft was more than 40 meters deep, despite the fact that it had been concealed by an overgrowth that was several decades old. With some hard work, they were able to accomplish this. The collapsed shaft would be utilized to extract the gold from this deep shaft, and after considerable effort, the team came to the conclusion that this was the most effective method. Due to some reinforced steel, Parker and his crew were able to devise a method that was enough secure for them to be able to do what they can to stabilize the collapsed shaft. Making their way down that shaft that had previously collapsed, you can imagine how energized these miners were now that they had a secure method to make their way down to the gold that was contained within the mine. It didn't take them very long to find their way through a vein of gold that had not been mined before. That may have provided them with the much-needed lift they needed for their season. The geologist who worked for Parker praised the job for having the most pristine and abundant natural deposit. This was a really great compliment. Incredible beauty may be found in the immaculate quartz gold vein. After the team had finished admiring the gold vein that they had discovered, they quickly got to work. After all, they didn't want to waste too much time down there. Other miners could hear about this gold vein and decide to get some for themselves. With such a mindset, the team worked tirelessly. This proved to be effective because it only took them a little over 72 hours to extract more than 4,000 ounces of gold from this rich gold vein. This proved to be a powerful experience for the team. After extracting all of that gold, they discovered that it was worth more than $10 million, which should cover all of the costs for things like diesel and transportation for the majority of the season and then some. This was an excellent experience for the team, especially considering that this was just the beginning for Parker and his team and this gold-rich mine. This is due to the fact that following a study of the gold extracted from the vein, they discovered that the vein in question was significantly larger than. Not only would they have to keep working hard on this gold vein if they were going to get their hands on the gold, but they would also have to fight off the competitors who would come running after hearing about this quartzy gold vein thanks to the rapid rate at which the news of this gold mine spread everyone from all over the world. They initially thought that it actually extended another 2 km underground. After some calculations, the team determined that they could get another $75 million from this gold vein. If they were able to pull this off, it would be fantastic news for Parker and his team. If they were able to pull this off, it would be great news for Parker and his team. This could mean that the team was going to have a successful season. Despite the fact that other miners and the government wanted to see this vein for themselves, Parker had the good sense to keep the claim for himself and his team. There was no way he was going to share this location with anyone else. This could very well be the discovery that makes everything that has come before it seem insignificant. Regardless of the circumstances, we are all aware that we are keeping a close eye on Parker and his team as they go to work. Whether Parker's success was due to luck or instinct, there is a good chance that he was able to. That Parker may have just made the largest gold strike in the Yukon in the 21st century and may have just had their most successful season to date. From coming across a potentially massive gold vein to the difficulties of making their way down to here is how Parker Schnabel and his team reached their goal of hitting a $75 million gold vein in a collapsed Yukon shaft.